Hey guys, this video is mainly for new players, so keep that in mind. And here is World of Warcraft, classes and races explained. Humans got increased versatility, which overall slightly increase healing, damage and reduce damage taken. A racial passive they got is Diplomacy, which increases reputation gained by 10%. And their most notable trait is Every Man for Himself, which works as a PvP trinket to remove CC. But in Legion this will get nerfed and only work on stun effects. Dwarves got the active ability called Stoneform. It reduces physical damage taken by 10%, as well as removing all poison, disease, curse, magic and bleed effects. They got two passives. One is to find artifact fragments and to survive faster, as well as Frost Resistance, which reduces frost damage taken by 1%. Night Elves got one active racial called Shadow Meld, which makes you invisible. They got four passive racials. One is Elusiveness. It reduces the chance of you being spotted in Shadow Meld and increases your speed by 5% while stealthed. They reduce nature damage taken by 1%, increase their movement speed by 2%, and increase their chance of dodging melee and ranged attack by 2%. They got 1% haste during the night and 1% increased critical strike chance during the day. Gnomes got one active racial, which removes any immobilization or movement speed reduction effects. They got 1% arcane resistance. They got 15% increased engineering skills. They increase your resource by 5%, in other words mana, energy and so on, and got 1% increased haste. Durani got Gift of the Naru, which heals for 20% of the caster's maximum health over 5 seconds, 15% increased their jewel crafting skills, increased strength, agility and intellect by 100 at max level, and reduced shadow damage taken by 1%. Worgen got two active racials, Dark Flight, which increases your movement speed by 40% for 10 seconds, and Running Wild, which is like a class mount. Worgen can also change between their human and Worgen form. They got 1% extra critical strike chance and reduce the nature and shadow damage taken by 1%. Pandaren. Their racial active is to strike their target, incapacitating them for 4 seconds. They take half falling damage, got 15% extra cooking skills, got double the effect from food buffs, and earned twice the amount of rested experience. Goblins got two active racials, Rocket Jump, which launches you forward, and Rocket Barrage, which deals some damage through rockets coming out of your belt. You'll get the best gold discount no matter of your reputational standing. You got 15% increased skills in alchemy, and 1% increased haste. Blood Elves got one active racial, Arcane Torrent. It interrupts all enemies around the Blood Elf and restores a percent-based amount of your resource. They got 1% increased critical strike and 10% increased enchanting skills and reduced damage taken from arcane damage. Troll's racial active is Berserking. It increases their haste by 15% for 10 seconds. They got 20% extra experience from killing beasts, 10% additional health regeneration, and 10% of their health regeneration can continue during combat, as well as all movement imperializing effects are reduced by 20%. The Tauren's active racial is War Stomp. It stuns the enemies around the Tauren for 2 seconds. The Tauren got 2% extra healing and critical damage, as well as 200 extra stamina at max level, 1% nature resistance and 15 extra herbalism skills. Undead got two active racials, Cannibalize, which let you eat a corpse to regenerate health and mana, Will of the Forsaken, which is a PvP trinket against Charm, Fear and Sleep. They also got 1% reduced damage from Shadow and occasionally heal from their damaging attacks, as well as they can stay underwater indefinitely. Orcs got one active racial, Blood Fury, which increases the Orcs' attack power. They also got a racial called Command, which increases the damage dealt by pets by 1%, and Hardiness reduces the duration of stun effects by 20%. Warrior is a melee, right into the action kind of class. It got 3 specs: Arms, Fury, and Protection. Arms uses a heavy two-handed weapon to bash in the skulls of its foes. Fury uses a weapon in each hand, either two-handers or one-handers, all depending on if it's PvP or PvE. Protection is one of the tanking specs in WoW. Taking hits is your main job while still being able to deal some damage. Paladin. As a Holy Crusader of the Light, you can choose if you want to assist your allies or bring havoc on your foes. Paladin got Retribution, Holy, and Protection. Retribution is all about going into the melee combat and using holy spells to kill your foes. Holy is about assisting your allies and keeping them alive. Protection is another one of the tanking specs in WoW, where you take hits and use holy spells to mitigate damage. As a hunter, you're standing at range, and is the only ranged class that can permanently move and cast at the same time. It got 3 specs: Beast Mastery, Survival, and Marksmanship. Beast Mastery is relying on your pet to deal most of your damage. Survival is about sending off ticking damage on your enemies, wearing them down. Marksmanship is about shooting hard, hitting hard, and you'll feel really good about when it crits. Rogue is a sneaky class, often hidden in the shadows before hitting its foes hard in the back. Its 3 specs are Assassin, Subtlety, and Combat. Combat is the one least relying on stealth, but more about dealing damage to enemies all around you. Assassin is going in for dealing damage with poison and mutilating your foes. Subtlety is about striking from the shadows, killing your enemies before they can counter. The Priest, much like the Paladin, uses the light to smite its foes, but it can also gather the shadows to curse the enemy. The Priest got Holy, Discipline, and Shadow. Holy being a pure healing spec, while Discipline is all about shielding your allies so they won't take damage at all. Shadow is their only damaging spec, where they can choose to either deal direct damage or ticking damage over time with dots. A Shaman uses the elements to help them destroy their foes. Their specs are Elemental, Enhancement, and Restoration. Elemental is ranged, sending off elementals, lightning, and fire towards their foes. Enhancement is melee, being aided by ghost wolves and elementals while hitting their foes. Restoration is to aid their allies, using Earth Shield to protect their allies, and using Cleansing Water to help them out. Mage is a pure DPS caster, but its specs are fairly different from one another. It got Fire, Frost, and Arcane. Fire is all about those crits, getting procs to send instant balls of fires towards your foes. Frost uses the aid of water elementals, chilling all to deal crit damage. Arcane is more stationary spec, but requires mana control for those interested in using it. Warlock is summoning demons from the Twisting Nefer to aid them in their battles. Their specs are Destruction, Affliction, and Demonology. As a Destruction, the Warlocks cast bolts of chaos towards their foes, hitting like a truck. Affliction is wearing down their enemies by keeping dots ticking constantly and managing them. Demonology is about taking controls of powerful demons and summoning a lot of smaller demons to constantly attack your enemies. Monk is all about hitting their enemies senseless. Monks got specs Windwalker, Brewmaster, and Mistweaver. Windwalker is a melee class spec, getting the aid of celestial beings to wreak havoc on the battlefield. Brewmaster is another one of the tanking specs in WoW, where they provoke their enemies to attack them. Mistweaver is about using cleansing mists to heal your allies and being a good emergency healer. Druid is a master of shape-shifting, using different forms to take on different challenges. They are the only class with 4 specs: Feral, Balance, Guardian, and Restoration. Feral is the melee choice, taking the form of a cat, where they make their foes bleed and ripping them to shreds. Balance is about using solar and lunar energies to damage your enemies in the form of a moonkin. Guardian is taking on the form of a bear, being bulky and taking hits for your team. Restoration is all about putting out healing over time on your allies, using nature itself to keeping them alive. Death Knight, once a knight under the servitude of the Lich King, now free to do as he pleases. The first hero class uses diseases and chilling frost to reap their foes. They get 3 specs: Frost, Unholy and Blood. Frost is using a lot of direct damaging abilities to kill their foes quickly. Unholy plants diseases and takes control of the undead themselves to fight for them. Blood is the last tanking spec, using bones to block damage and absorb damage as well as healing themselves.